All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Captain Cody Davis here with you guys again for another one, a special late night edition of Tight Splice Charters. At least it feels that way to me. It is, I think, about 11 o'clock right now. I've typically been asleep for 2 or 3 hours at this point, but I am not. So, decided to hop on here and make a video regarding what's going on here during this Elite Series event out here on world famous Lake Okeechobee. I was off today. I was not out there on the water. I decided to take care of some helm projects that I've been putting off for some time. You know, the ones that you put off because you say they're only going to take you an hour, 2 hours at the most. Well, that's what I did today, and I was 9 hours in. I never finished. I got a good portion of it done, and then come to realize the good portion, half of the good portion I did, wasn't done right. I missed a step. You know how it is. It just never goes smooth. So that's where we were today. I had all the intentions in the world of completing that and making a couple of different videos here at the house. But obviously the project never got done, so the videos never got done. One in which that I wanted to make one on a product that has been a long time in the making, a long time coming, and it's finally done. It is finally, I guess you could say, here. And although I was a part of it, I guess at the same time I really had nothing to do with it. There were other people involved to make it possible, but I'm straight up telling you guys, it could not have come out better. I could not be happier or more excited with how it came out. Perfect is a strong word, but to me, that's how I would describe this product. And it's something I definitely want to showcase to you guys. Something you guys are definitely going to want to check out. And I'm just super pumped about it. And it was just, again, awesome. Just super pumped. And as you could tell by my face, I didn't want to make a video on a product that I'm super excited about when I'm in zombie mode and about to fall asleep. So I had a couple other video ideas, but I said, I'm not doing that. We'll do that one tomorrow. When I get off the water, come home, I'm still awake. We got good lighting. I'll showcase this awesome product to you guys. But for now, I really wasn't even going to make this video, but I said it's halfway through the tournament. I got to, kind of touch base with you guys, let you know kind of what I think and what I foresee happening. I was off yesterday as well, and I wanted to go fishing. It was the first day of Elite Series competition. So I slid my boat in, ran around out there, found the fanciest wrap boat I can find, pulled in 100 yards from them and started flipping, and I caught a couple good ones right off the bat. I'm just kidding. I did not do that. I did not put my boat anywhere near Lake Okeechobee because there was no reason for me to be out there. Let the best in the world have the playing field. I get to have it every day. So ended up trailering down to the Everglades, met up with my brother down there to do some fishing. He had some fish down there in the glades he was catching, and it just turned out to be not a very eventful day. Probably had 15 pounds, caught a bunch of fish. A lot of them were small, but it just didn't come together like we thought. So really no video of that. But they pumped water, which messed a lot of stuff up in preparation for the rain we never got. So either way, is what it is. Got to go fish somewhere I haven't fished in a while and take a break from the lake. But I will be out there tomorrow morning for work. So got to try and guide people to success and also stay out of people's way who are trying to make a living and fish for $100,000 tomorrow. At least it's down to 50 and not 100. But that's enough of that. Let's get into kind of what's going on here for this event. I have to at least address it because people are going to say something. The Scott Martin DQ, it's like the biggest topic in the sport of bass fishing right now. I honestly, I'm going to look into say I just don't need to make a comment on it. It kind of has nothing to do with me. There are a lot of mixed feelings. There's a lot of know-it-alls in the industry right now. There's a lot of things flying around. There's comments being made, what have you. Just all I'm going to say is just there's more to come. Like, that's all I'm going to say. Unfortunate, whatever. But there's going to be a lot more deals like this here in the near future. early during the 2025 season, I believe. So just stay tuned for more on that. Tournament. Who is leading this event? The world famous Brandon Palaniuk. He has 58 pounds and an ounce after 2 days of competition. And he weighed in a 34-pound, 10-ounce bag of fish today, which is crazy. Like I said, I was doing chores around the house today, had live playing the entire time, and when that whole 45-minute flurry, started popping off, it was pretty crazy to watch. Yeah, so here's the deal, guys. Like, we'll just jump right into him because, well, I mean, I don't know what he's leading by. 48, so like a 10-pound lead at this point. There's no secret as to where he's fishing, right? If you've been on Lake Okeechobee, for the most part, you could see. But if you don't know, for the people that don't know, I'm not going to name exactly where he's at, but you could probably figure it out if you took 4 minutes and watched the clips. And he's sharing it with 3 or 4 people at a time. And, it's crazy because in my last video, my prediction video, I don't remember what I said. I may have hinted, or maybe I did name it. I don't know, but I maybe kept hinting that there was like a off the wall kind of strange pattern, kind of a deal going on, winning tournaments out here in Okeechobee. And what Brandon is doing is the kind of off the wall deal, but slightly different. So kind of the thing was canals, banks, bare banks. There shouldn't even have to be canals. It was just bare, hard banks that were winning tournaments. That's how Tanner won the BFL. That's how the guy won the Toyota, right? So that was kind of the pattern, finding those hard, bare banks because the conditions were lining up during these events for fish to spawn. With the condition of the lake, which you're hearing a lot of these pros, you're hearing a lot of the guys on live mention like how the lack of vegetation, the muddy water. Selfishly, there was a part of me that wished that 40 pounds won this event. Someone had 10 pounds a day and took it home just to kind of prove a point that the lake needs help. But at the end of the day, the big fish still do live here. The fish are big and healthy. But this is why you're seeing places like these canals or these waterways shine as opposed to the actual main body of water that is Lake Okeechobee, is because not only is it very hard for these fish to find clean water, but more importantly, when they want to spawn, the clean water is that much more important, and protected areas. So they are finding their way into these waterways, these canals, these rivers, and that's what's making all these big fish come out of these areas. Where Brandon is fishing has just been there's been a bunch of big fish in there over the last really month, and I mean, there's no reason not to say it now because people see it. I mean, there was another 35-pound bag. There was a 35-pound bag caught out of there like a month ago. I know of two. No, there was two. There was one. So these fish were using that for a while. They were going in there and spawning. There was a 35-pound bag caught by Bobby, and then Tanner and Finn. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media. I shared a picture of those two youngsters winning the Old Man Derby last Thursday with like 34.86. And they were catching spawners. Fish were using those banks and spawning. And then it seemed like those fish kind of pulled off the bank. And that is what Brandon is doing along with, I think that guy, Greg DePalma, whatever his name is. No offense to him. DePalma? I'm looking at my little notes I made. I know he was in there. There was a couple of other, elite guys that they're talking. You can see them all on live, and they're all catching them deep. Now, what it seemed like happened this morning was the 3 other anglers left, and Brandon decided to stay because the fish were just not biting. There wasn't as much current. Fish weren't acting right. They weren't set up right. Acting right's a different word. They weren't set up right, so a lot of the guys left, trying to get a limit. Brandon stayed. And listen, I don't know that much about the other pros that were there, but Brandon Palaniuk, he's one of the best in the world right now and has been for a long time. I mean, he probably knew, like, listen, with forward facing, you can hate on him for using it if you want. He ain't really shaking a minnow. I mean, he's cranking, right? But that forward facing is just showing him that the fish are there and, still there, I guess you could say. So I think it was more of a thing like, I just got to make adjustments. These fish are going to feed, and I'm on the winning spot. There's the winning fish are right here. I just need to be here when they bite. And, it's funny. It's so crazy because my partner, Kelly, obviously we fish Lake Okeechobee, so we're, whether it's a community hole or not, you're usually around big groups of boats. And one of the biggest things before our tournaments is like, well, he always asks me, well, did anybody see you? That's more important to him, I mean, than the fish themselves. And if it's there might be 2 boats in there, that's one thing. But if there's going to be 30 boats within eyesight, he always has this golden rule. Well, at 10:30, it's going to get cut in half, because around 10:30, people start hitting the panic button. Now, you roll in there in the morning, you catch 2 8-pounders. That's a little different. You could settle down. But if you don't have that, people start hitting the panic button. And that's really what happened to Brandon Palaniuk. Like, the other guys kind of, I think, got a little not agitated, but like, oh, I got to put some fish in the boat, and made a little move over here. One of them peeled out, went to the lake, and then Brandon, his little flurry happened. So he was patient. He stayed put, and he caught a giant bag of fish, biggest bag he's ever weighed in. And I think they said it was the biggest bag in Elite Series history on Lake Okeechobee, which that's pretty cool. He said he had 2 9-pounders, a 7, 8, 7.5. He said, excuse me, I'm yawning into the microphone. And it would, I don't know, I mean, just a phenomenal job. You could say, here's the deal. Selfishly, there's a big part of me that's like, man, I really don't want the river to win. Like, us lake guys, there's a group of us, you guys know who you are if you're watching. There's a group of us that, like, we know this is, again, I always say that I don't have an ego. I always say that. Like, I hate I hate bass guys, bass anglers, because their ego just gets the best of them and just kind of makes them not the greatest people, right? But I try not to have an ego, but my ego, my pride, I do everything in my power to fish on the main lake. I don't want to go into the river. I don't want to go into a canal. I don't want to fish the rim ditch. I will go out. I know there's 35 pounds to be caught in the river, but I'm going to try and catch 37 pounds on the lake like a man, even though the biggest bag that's been caught on the lake has been 18 pounds. Like, and there's a group of us that do that. Like, we just won't go do it. And the same goes for when this stuff happens. I want to see the lake. Like, I want to see the Ish Monroe win from 2012 when he's flipping a jig at tilapia beds, at cattails in East Wall and Pelican Bay. Well, there's nothing left of those 2 areas, which is a big reason why we're not seeing the lake play. But that's what we want to see, right? But we're going to get into that in a little bit. But at the same time, it is what it is. They're fishing the river. There's been giants caught in the river. There's a lot of our local stuff's being won in the river, and probably going to be continued to be won in the river here for a little bit. But Brandon Palaniuk, to see him win on Okeechobee would be super cool. I tell everybody he is the best pro angler in the entire fishing industry right now, for in every way possible. The dude is a killer, right? Phenomenal fisherman. He is the most positive guy ever. Portrays himself. Can someone tell me a bad scenario, a bad story, a bad instance involving Brandon Palaniuk? No. He's top tier. I've never heard a bad story about the guy. Takes the time to talk to every kid. I see him at ICAST talking. Everybody, never turns anybody down. Again, very positive. Takes in all the little things. Fishes hard to himself, but friendly with everybody. Goes to every weigh-in, right? Sits and watches, like I've said in videos prior, like, go to the weigh-in. Even if you come in and you have a horrible day, Go to the weigh-in. Congratulate the guy who won. You had a horrible day. He had a good day. Go congratulate him. Be there to show support for the guys you fish against. That's easy. It's very easy for people like me and you to do because we're just driving an hour home or 10 minutes home to go back home. But, he's from Idaho. So, like, he does, if he did terrible on Lake Okeechobee, it's to stay another day to watch the winner. I mean, it's just adding so much time to his trip, but he does it. He's just an awesome dude. And I don't know him personally. I think I've spoken to him a couple of times at ICAST, but just I think he's very important to the sport right now. If he breaks a rule, he turns himself in. He calls. It's like a no-brainer to him. I think he's had 6 fish in his live well like 75 times, takes the 2-pound penalty and rolls on. And he's a very good inspiration, like a role model to all the younger ones coming up in the sport. And I say it all the time. I think he is the best pro in the game right now, in every way possible. So see him win would be awesome, and we'll see if he does it. Second place is that guy, Greg DePalma. I don't really know a lot about him. He did have almost 30 pounds yesterday, had 18.9 today, but did a little bit of a change. And this is where we get into like our people to watch and what I could foresee maybe changing is the wind hasn't blown for like 3 days. And I think you're starting to see the lake settle a little bit. I don't think it's really supposed to blow tomorrow until late in the afternoon. And then it's maybe going to blow a little bit on Sunday, but you might see a couple of big bags, come from the lake. I think you're going to see some things switch up here. You saw a lot of people there were a lot of fish caught off of the main lake today, a lot better than there were the day before. So Greg DePalma ended up leaving. I don't know where he went, but he looked like he found a little pocket where fish were coming in off the main lake. I think he caught a big one or two, and then he left because he knew he had enough to make to the third day. He's currently sitting in second. He had 18.5 today. And I think he caught like 2 5-pounders like back to back and got the heck out of there. Bo Browning's another one to watch. Obviously, Steve Browning's son, very good angler. And he had 25.75 today. I forget what place he's in. John Cox and Jason Christie. John Cox had 25.25. Jason had 20.75. And both of them are on the main lake. I really have an idea where both of them are, but I'm not 100% sure. But again, they are on the main lake. So it's almost like these fish are pulling up. Bill Lowen is another one to watch. I think he is in the river as well, but he's kind of just fishing the bank. But he's got a lot of momentum. He's got a lot of confidence going right now, so we'll see. Lee Livesey. He's said he had a lot of bites, right? So today, said he caught a bunch of fish, and he had almost 20 pounds. So there's a lot of people that might be in a developing spot, where as good as Brandon Palaniuk's spot is, he might show up there in the morning and there be nothing. Now, on top of that, something that this is really bad to say, but he's not going to have that to himself, nor are the other 2 Elite Series anglers. There's going to be, cover your ears, kids, there's going to be a few assholes that live up there that are going to go fish alongside those guys. They're going to do it. They're just going to do that. And they're going to say, I live here all the time. I found these fish 2 months ago. You know how bass guys are. And they're not fishing for anything. They just want to go fishing. So they just want to go get in this guy's way and look like an asshole. So that's probably going to happen. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't. I hope the locals here of Okeechobee are better people than that, but probably not. So that's going to happen. On top of that, those fish may just move. They may just shift. They may pull out. A lot of those fish might pull up more towards that spillway where the buoys are, which is off limits to the angler. So we'll see if that happens. But someone, like a Christie or a Cox or a Lee Livesey or someone that's on the main lake might be somewhere where things are starting to develop, as opposed to where Brandon might start going away. It's hard to say it's going away when he had 35 pounds today, but we'll see. You know, it's sad. There's a lot of people saying that the lake is terrible, and it is. Like, obviously, most of these people are in the river, but you know, one thing I will say, like the river, we keep saying the river never played. It definitely has. I know in the Nick Kaler tournament, I think Kale and Chris had 38-15 in that event and won it. That was on the main lake. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there were 3 bags over 34 pounds weighed in that tournament that came from the river. So river stuff does happen, but there definitely is a lack of vegetation, a lack of spots, a lack of clean water. Like, we're in March. The wind is laying down, the water is dropping, and the water is still dirty because of that much less vegetation in this lake. So again, I do praise bass. You know, at the end of the day, Okeechobee Tourism Board, City of Okeechobee paid bass to come there as advertisement to the fish, right, or to the lake. But with that, so you know, the bass guys on live, and you know, Tommy and Ronnie and Davey and Dave, you know, their job is to like praise Lake Okeechobee, which it doesn't need praising, right? The big fish to live here, but like I said, they are doing a good job at. They keep making subtle hints in there that, like, listen, the lake doesn't have the grass it used to have. The lake is very dirty. It's making it very difficult to catch these fish, and I'm hoping some people see. I mean, pay attention to that, because that is the God's honest truth. Now, when the conditions line up and you don't get wind for 4 or 5 days, things are phenomenal. But it just takes one 20-mile-an-hour swirling wind to just really muddy this place up anymore. So, I mean, yeah, that is it's unfortunate. It's terrible. It's annoying coming from a. I mean, I make my living out here. The big fish do live here, but that don't do you a lot of good if you can't catch them, right? If it's muddy, there's nowhere for them to set up. I'm really, really praying, really, and just hoping for this drought, this water bring down. They're bringing the lake down. I'm hoping it stays down. I know everyone's going to mention the spraying, and I mean, I'm out there every day watching these guys just spray chemical on nothing. Nothing. It's nothing. And I'm really trying to wrap my head around it on how to tackle it. So obviously, you know, the high water kills a lot more than the spray does. A lot of people, a lot of you aren't going to agree with me, but that's fine. But it does. It drowns out 100% of the vegetation, whereas the spray needs to be sprayed by a human on these areas, which they're doing a very good job. I give them that. As far as if the job application is just to murder every living thing, that is what they're doing. And it's almost like it'll put a Band-Aid on it. If the low water comes, we get some new grass. But I literally think about it every day. How I don't know how to battle the spraying. There's so many people trying to do it. What no one can do is figure out who they need to get a hold of. I've had very smart people try. I've had very dumb people try. I mean, we've tried all kinds of different. The Facebook videos are doing nothing. They don't do anything. Just piss people off. But I ask. I've called. I don't know who we need to get a hold of, or if there is anyone to get a hold of to stop it. But we'll see. Hopefully we can figure that out. We shall see. But Lake Okeechobee is in a lot of trouble. I get in trouble. People think that I am delusional and I want people to come here. So I'm not going to tell them that. But listen, like, the lake is in trouble. I'm looking you right in the face. The lake's in trouble. The lake looks like hell. But there's still 9-pounders here. So my clientels are still coming for the chance to catch 30 pounds and, you know, their personal best. They're still going to come for that. And that is still doable. That's still possible on this lake. But I want to guide out here till I'm 70 years old. So I need to take care of her now. So I don't ever pull punches or pull the whole curtain over people's heads and say, you know, she's fine. Just come on down. You will catch big fish, but the lake as a whole is not healthy. So we'll see. Hopefully some things are changing, but I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. But either way, wrapping up here, like I said, the lake is settling a little bit. The wind predictions are all over the place, but if it does settle, you might see some really big moves in the leaderboard tomorrow. You might see a lot of guys that have just had a really a bad day on day one, a pretty good day yesterday, and they might have a phenomenal day tomorrow. See a few different little areas in play. You got 50 anglers out there, so they're going to be decently spread out. Um, it's going to get hot. It's hot. That water temperature is rising. You might see some schooling fish. I mean, it's March. The lake's dropping. This is a time of year where you could literally be trolling or running to another spot, see 4 birds diving, and throw in there and catch 25 pounds. Something like that can happen, right? You might see some schoolers. You might see another wave of fish pull up. We're really off of the new moon, backside of the new, or I guess it'd be the front side of the moon now, but we're off of the new moon. But they're always spawning here. They're going to be spawning until May. There is waves of fish pulling up, so somewhere. It's just if someone's going to find that. But what did I say for my prediction on weight? My little notebook here. What did I say? 90 pounds. I'm still going to stick to that. I don't know if we'll see 100. What Brandon Palaniuk did today was there was a crazy bag. There are more fish there. There's just so many variables. You can have local pressure tomorrow, both crappie and bass guys. You're going to have people that just want to go out there, like I said, and just get in the way. He is already sharing it with 3 other competitors, and those river fish just, I don't know. We'll see. But 90 pounds, I'll probably still stick with that. Right around 90. It's probably going to do it. And I have a lot of people asking me, like, I even texted Ronnie Moore today. They're like, are these fish coming in off of where they're at in the Kissimmee River? This is what I tell people. All right. There's other canals, there's other rivers, there's other whatever you want to call it in the lake. Those fish, there are some resident fish, but there are a lot of fish, I think, pulling in off the main lake to go in there and spawn. But when you talk about the Kissimmee River, all of our North End events, like the Elite Series, are ran out of that Scott Driver boat ramp. You go down to Rita Island or the Shoal, and you catch a 5-pounder flipping a jig on the outside, right? That fish has lived on the shoal or on the lake its entire life, swimming around, getting beat up by rough water, getting beat up by muddy water. And you run him up there and you let him go in that Kissimmee River where it is 25 feet deep. The water is always decent, if not crystal, very clean. There's hard bank to spawn. There's not as much fishing pressure, and it's loaded with giant gizzard shad. Those fish don't leave. They just live there. And you do that over the last 30 years, there are a lot of big fish being transported and now living in that Kissimmee River. So that's almost like their own, it's almost like its own lake. Like I always say, Harney Pond's its own lake. That whole area, the river is its own deal. And it's only, I think, like 7 miles long of river, but there are big fish to be caught all up and down that thing. I don't catch them, nor do I really care to try, but obviously there are giants in there. So that's where these big fish are coming from. I think some of those, like those 2 9s Brandon's caught, might have been born in Pelican Bay, but they have probably been living in that river for like 4 years. That's at least what I think, or that's what I think could be possible. Something like that, and then they just relate to the river like its own lake. Like they pull out in the middle, they go down deep, they pull up to the bank to spawn or to feed if need be. So that's it. That's my prediction. It'd be awesome to see Brandon Palaniuk get a win. There's a lot of other guys that I think it'd be cool to see get a win. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see. It's a very different Okeechobee. Tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to be going to the weigh-in, but Sunday, I'm going to probably be at the weigh-in, I'm guessing. So, there you go, bed. So if you guys come up there, say what's up. You see me walking around. Should be a good time. someone's going to win, so might as well go there and hang out. That's the plan. Maybe I'll go tomorrow if there's any big changes. Yeah, maybe I'll do a video tomorrow night. So appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for my product launch video here, probably the next video on the channel. And appreciate you guys watching. I greatly appreciate all the support, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.